It's Bronzebird. So I'm gonna continue on with the son husband's effect, in which I wasn't able to find the longer version of this video, in which it's a brief exchange between mother and son again, in which I really wanted to make it known that a lot of the things that parents do obviously has an effect on a child. But I think the nonsense example of someone like Vivica A. Fox, someone who's childless, 50, and she's had some outings with some particular rap stars, is not in the lead to have a conversation towards so-called black men when it comes to the psychological issues that the everyday so-called black man faces. And the thing about it is that television shows like this is nothing more but an echo chamber for so-called black women to have the plight on being against the so-called black man. Because in this society, if you haven't already known, and so many content creators have said this, the so-called black woman views the so-called black man as an antagonist. And more in my experience and understanding exactly what's going on is that the so-called black woman is not liking the fact of the matter that the so-called black man of today is tired of the so-called black woman. So who does she call to be the reinforcers to get the so-called black man back in line? She toggles the so-called white man against the so-called black man. Of course, that's always going to be something, because the reckoning force of the society is the so-called white man for right now, until society falls. And then, of course, is going to be everything else. Usually the Eurasians with the European, right? And then you have the so-called fluid gay black man, or the gay black man for sure, which serves as the lapdog against the so-called black man. Then you have what I would consider usually the pro-blacks, the so-called, Pan-Africans sometimes, and those black dudes that still hold the black woman as the mother goddess in order to be against the so-called black man. So there's a lot of leads and outsiders that's still given respect to the mother goddess archetype, especially with the so-called black people, in which they find it upon themselves to agree with the woman, agree with everything she says, even when she's dead wrong, against the so-called black man. So making this assessment, I just wanted to view this video real quick with you guys and just make an assessment off of it. So, peep.
Does he make you feel guilty about you supposedly not being there? Because let me just tell you this, sister to sister right now. It is an honor to have a mother that wasn't on drugs, that wasn't in the streets, that is an educator, that provided a home. So sister, I commend you for that, okay?
And, one thing I will say is, if you do have a mother in your life, if you've been raised with a single mom, I would never tell brothers do not appreciate what she does, because it's a lot of trials and tribulations, of course. Sometimes, or, good amount of times, there could be situations where, the mother didn't plan to be a single mom, she just wind up being with a bad omen and stuff like that, or he got abusive in the relationships. And, there's a lot of things that can go into that, because sometimes I'll hear stories and I'll be like, well, you have to take responsibility on the man that you chose. You knew that he was abusive. You knew that he was a raging alcoholic, or he was a drug abuser, and you still stayed with him, hoping that he would change. And what that lesson is, you can't change people. Sometimes you just have to let people be who they are. And the thing about it is that you could have ignored this situation when you found out that this man was the way that he was, because that's ultimately how he is. And understanding his background, maybe he was like this when you met him. More than likely he was. So there's usually a telltale sign when somebody can understand the red flags and you ignore the red flags because you see the good in them. And my thing is, a lot of times those mistakes can be avoided. But, of course, people fall into that line where they try to look for the best in people. And so they feel like, no, they're a good person. They just needed to change for me and stuff like that. Like I said, you can't change people. They are who they are. They have their opinions at the end of the day. They act the way they act. This is how they're going to be.
Okay? So you don't have to feel guilty that you went out and worked so that you could provide for your children. It's what real parents do.
But so you're not supposed to show. So you're not supposed to show compassion and care to your child.
Of course you can. I mean,
But
look,
no.
let me tell you something.
Also means saying no. You need to stop disrespecting your mom.
But that wasn't.
My thing about it with Rosie is just hearing this woman talk. I just want to tell her, shut the fuck up sometimes, man. Like, see the whole entire conversation. You see how the woman gets loud when the man is voicing his testimony, because they do not like it that a man is going to go ahead and try to rebuttal the fact of the matter. There was something missing in the relationship between him and his mother. You understand that? And the thing about it is, this woman is just saying, stop disrespecting your mom, because they want this man to play the yes man. Everything that the woman does and the mother does is 100% correct, right? Therefore, she can never be wrong for her actions. That's the reason she got up and stood up like that and started yelling at this man the way that she did. You understand?
Nurse, be quiet.
That wasn't the
Quiet.
Let me answer the
I'd
question.
like her to answer this question.
I will answer the question.
Was I disrespectful?
He actually had no problems as a child. Okay, he was a great child. As the time got older, as he got into middle school and that's when some things always come. There are no perfect families.
Now, if I was a great child, why did I get whippings if I was a great child at 12 years old? Why
you
did I
got
get
a
whippings?
whooping.
Why did I get whippings? Why?
Okay.
And the thing about it is, you see how Vivica A. Fox has no problem on, making a mockery of him, letting out the fact of the matter that whoopings affected him mentally. You understand that, when it came to disciplining her child, that whoopings affected him, especially when it came to schoolwork, because more than likely it wasn't any encouragement. It was just being told, you better get good grades or your ass is going to get whooped. That's what I infer that he's alluding to when he's making this claim about getting whoopings as a child. And like I said, Vivica A. Fox and the rest of her clan on that show make it very clear that they are here to emasculate the so-called black man. And the more times you see in this society, or the last days in general, you're going to see more of these so-called black women being able to have airtime in order to make a mockery or try to say disrespectful things about the so-called black man, in which the so-called black man is not allowed to speak unless spoken to. Therefore, the only black man that's going to be allowed to be on the shows with the black woman, or the liberal black woman, will be the fluid or gay black man, or the pro-whack or pro-black man, such as your beloved Umar Johnsons and the rest of characters like that go on these shows and say sister this, sister that. And they'll be able to have their little airtime and trying to speak peacefully and appease the so-called black woman's aggression towards black men and be the mouthpiece for why black men are acting the way that they're acting. Or especially because black men nowadays are yelling out passport bros, and I want to go leave and deal with women who can actually appreciate me as a black man, not you, black woman.
But honestly, would you whip your kid? Okay, so if your kid, hold on, no, but I'm talking about for schoolwork though. Hold on, not for behavior. No, hold on, not for behavior. No, I need to say this. No,
it makes me a real good woman. You know what it told me? What I was gonna get away in my mama's house, and what I wasn't gonna get away in my mama's house.
See, a lot of the things that happen in these households, a lot of people don't like to keep it real. I think I'm going to try to find a clip in which we're going to talk about the dynamics between so-called black women. And I'm meaning the mother and daughter relationship. Because when it comes to the mother-daughter relationship, especially in the black household, the mother starts to view the daughter as competition as she gets older. And so this is the reason why they weaponize, in my idea of things, why they're so heavily guarded on the child, the daughter in question, on the type of men she's going to start to allow in her life, is because of the fact of the matter, she's not in the same realm as her. So there's a lot of jealousy streaks when it comes to the mother and the daughter. But I'm going to get to that clip soon enough another time.
These kids just kill me nowadays, want to be called, oh my God, I got his baby. You spoiled ass
ask for grades.
That's what you are.
This how you do that?
No, I'm not. Okay.
You're a brat. You're a brat. A 28-year-old brat.
No.
And that's the end of the video. My whole entire thing is hearing Vivica A. Fox go off like that at this young man. You know, it's just very funny how, you know, the dynamics are when it comes to show hosts like this. You know, they get a TV show, they get a little bit of money to spread the controversy, to spread the propaganda, and, you know, the ever so quote unquote gender war between the so-called black man and so-called black woman. Vivica A. Fox is a mess. You know, for a long time, she thought she was this sassy black woman, you know, that's being able to speak her mind. And then she used to, the only thing I remember about Vivica A. Fox besides her acting is the fact of the matter, she got into a relationship with 50 Cent, and a lot of dirty laundry came out of that whole entire ordeal. And then I thought to myself, how the hell did someone like Vivica A. Fox get a show talking the shit she's talking for the last 5 years? Because I haven't seen her do any new episodes, but, you know, she recently came back out in the media about something she said. And, you know, now she goes on Fox Soul with Claudia Jordan and those two fluid so-called black men talking shit about so-called black men and thinking they have a voice of reason to talk about the so-called black community. I mean, I don't get it, but, you know, a lot of the times you're going to get a lot of these actresses that's in their 50s, ain't nothing more but strags. You know, and they try to still be in the in crowd by voicing their opinions about nonsense. And then, you know, one of them, what's the name? I forgot who the chick was. She's like a strag in her 50s. And, you know, she's out here having OnlyFans and shit. Like, it's deplorable. And that lets you know that the liberal woman will still be into a lot of vices up into her 50s. If she's not coddled right, if she's not settled right, if she's not able to angle down on her nonsense, she's going to continue the childish behavior, especially of how it is in this generation, grooming the next generation. Because the focus right now is Generation Z to A. But my point of making this video is this proves to you the nonsense that the so-called black man has to go through, in which there is never no concrete conversations that the mother usually tries to have with the son, especially on national television, that the woman usually does not try to do the workings of becoming a better parent towards their son. Not until they grow older, at least. Usually the mother starts to realize that the child isn't the same anymore once he gets older. She can't hold on to the umbilical cord for long, especially when he decides to move out, when he decides to get his own apartment and he does his own thing. She can't hold on any longer. So therefore, if she doesn't have a husband or she doesn't have a significant other by then, she's depressed. She's confused because she can't lean on her son as being the proverbial husband or the son husband like he used to be. She has no one she can lean on. She can't lean on her friends to have conversations or, you know, be able to take advantage of him in certain ways, especially mentally. She doesn't. So otherwise than that, give me your thoughts in the comment section. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Peace.